Well, welcome to day 11 of the 21 days of goals. How you feeling so far? I think you should be feeling good because you just crossed into the halfway point, and that is a huge milestone. So I want you to take a moment at this intersection, and I want you to just reflect on what you've learned so far. I want you to think about what are some of the aha moments? What were some of the reminders or perspective changes that you've had up to this point? And then if you're doing the challenge, I want you to think about how many times have you restarted? How did that deepen your commitment to following through? I think by chapter 11, the first time that I did this, I probably started about 4 times over again. And it just got stronger and stronger in my desire to complete the entire challenge. So today we are going to continue that journey with chapter 11, which is titled, Become an Expert in Your Field. This is one of my favorite chapters. And we start right away with a reality check. On page 125, Brian Tracy says, the market pays excellent rewards only for excellent performance. It pays average rewards for average performance, and below average rewards, underachievement, failure, and frustration for below average results. That was big. In short, if you want to succeed in your field, you've got to commit to excellence. This ties into what we talked about in the last chapter with the 80-20 rule, otherwise known as the Pareto principle, which shows up everywhere, not just in our finances. It also shows up here in our professional lives. Think about 80-20 like this. 20% of the people in your company produce 80% of the results. The other 80% of the people produce only 20% of the results. So that leaves us with a key question. How do we move into the 20%? Well, Brian Tracy reminds us on page 127 that everything worthwhile takes a long time and a lot of work to accomplish. But if you're willing to work long and hard, excellence is possible. You just got to put in the work to become a top 20%er. Here's one way you can think of it. Think of your career like a ladder. Each rung on the ladder represents a skill, a strength, a key result area, and you got to develop in those areas to climb higher. Now, imagine that your ladder is missing a rung. Imagine that the skill you haven't mastered yet is what you need to go higher. No matter how strong the rest of the ladder is, you're missing something that is going to help you continue to climb to the top. Now, Brian Tracy advises us in this chapter to find the weak rung, to reinforce it, and to keep climbing. Which leads me to one of my biggest takeaways, and that is where he dives deeper into the key result areas. If you remember a couple videos ago, I talked about where he mentioned that every job is made up of about 5 to 7 key results areas. You got to get good in these areas. These are the critical tasks that are going to determine your success. Now, a couple chapters ago, we didn't really have an example. Here he gives us an example, and he gives us a couple. The one that I like the most is management. It's really easy to think about if you've ever been in management or if you've ever seen someone excel in management. The result areas that he identifies here are planning, organizing, staffing, delegating, supervising, measuring, and reporting. He says that successful managers are excellent in each one of these areas. That's true. Those are the key areas for a manager. So here's our action step. We can start by identifying the 5 to 7 key result areas in our industry. You might have already done this. If you haven't, this would be a good time to do it because in this chapter, we're going to take it a step further. To become an expert, we're going to take it a step further. We're going to rate ourselves between 1 and 10 on how we do in these areas in our role. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Now, Brian Tracy says that you need to score a 7 in each of these areas, at least to be in the top 20% in your field. And then I love what he says on page 129. He hits us with a hard truth. He says, your weakest key skill sets the height of your income and determines how fast and how far you will go in your career. This is why it's critical for us to identify and work on our weakest skill areas. Now, one of my favorite phrases in this chapter is become a lifelong do-it-yourself project. I love that. And to help us with that, Brian Tracy introduces us to the 3+1 formula. Simple, but powerful way that we can work through our personal growth. So let's look at it. The first thing we got to do is we got to read each day in our skill set area. We got to read, because the more you read, the more you learn, the more confident you become in pursuing excellence in what you're doing. The second is we got to listen to educational audio. I heard early on that I needed to turn my car into a classroom, and I did. And even today, I rarely listen to music when I'm driving around because I've turned that time into an opportunity to grow. And number three is you got to practice what you learn. You got to practice what you learn. The value of an idea is in the application. So Brian Tracy says here as he closes this section out, he says, the person who hears one idea and takes action on it is more valuable than the person who hears 100 ideas but takes no action on them. Very true. And I think we can actually summarize this whole section right here in 3 words. Read, listen, practice. If you put that into your routine, read, listen, practice, I think your personal growth is going to go to the next level in your area, your role, your industry. Okay, so here's the question. How can you integrate the 3+1 formula into your daily routine so you can continue to grow? So let's look at our action steps in the back. We're going to look at number 3. Identify your weakest area and start a do-it-yourself project to become excellent in that area. Here's how you can apply this. I think you take some time and you look at those key results. And then you pinpoint where can you improve to have the greatest impact on what you're doing right now. And then commit to you becoming a personal do-it-yourself project and start reading and listening and practicing and see how you can add that rung to your ladder. I think this chapter is a powerful reminder that excellence is a choice. And by identifying our weakest area, we can make that choice to commit to grow in our ability to pursue it. But remember, we got a whole nother half to go, and I'm excited about the growth that is going to happen as we continue this journey together. Tomorrow, we have chapter 12. I'll see you then.